Hi makers, I hope you had a nice holiday season. In this video we are going to electrify the moon. Well, a scale model of it to be precise. We'll make a 3D moon lamp to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Apollo 11. 50th and a half to be correct. Anyway, the plan is to have a light bulb inside a casted concrete moon, which will have surface detail. This 3D moon will sit on top of a lampstand reused from my previous lamp. Let's get making. I'll admit I'm a little late to the moon party, but I still wanted to go through with this project as I wanted to make a matching lamp for my concrete floating bedside table. However, we both know that light cannot shine through concrete. That's a bummer. Well, I guess I won't join the party at all. Or will I? Upon further research, I discovered light transmitting concrete. For this, optical fibers are used as a light conductor, embedded into the concrete. But I wanted the actual material to be translucent. So this left me with only one option: to design the material myself. I thought of and tested a few different mixtures, like concrete and silicon, concrete and epoxy, and even concrete with fiberglass. I knew that in order to preserve the translucency, only a small amount of concrete could be added to a transparent material. Eventually, I settled on 95% epoxy and 5% concrete by weight. With the material chosen, the next step is the mold. Now, before we get any further, I know I could have just 3D printed the mold, but then what fun would there be in the process? Besides, not everyone has a 3D printer. As the inner mold piece cannot be removed afterwards, it will need to be transparent. I chose these two separable transparent plastic domes, one with a 16 and another with an 18 cm diameter. While designing the mold, I had to account for the light bulb. It will need to be removable, so I won't need to destroy the moon each time I change a light bulb. The idea is that the screw-on ring for the lampshade holder will be firmly glued to the inside of the smaller globe, and a small hole is made in the plastic at the center of the ring. This way, the moon can just be screwed onto its stand. While I did secure the threaded ring, I did not drill out the hole yet. The holes I did make were a couple of small ones around the top ring and also on the bottom of the globe. Lengths of fishing line were threaded through the holes, and knots were made on the inside. Silicone was applied to prevent any leaking of the epoxy later on. On the top ones I marked 1 cm up and made another knot on each line. As for the bottom one, I marked but did not make any knots, as this will be done later. The globe's two halves were glued together with the superglue. Then I took the halves of the larger globe, drilled some small holes, which matched the ones of the smaller globe. I test fitted everything. It looks nice. I also made a hole of significant size, which the mixture will be poured through. Now the hard part. Making a moon isn't just about the material, it also has to look like the moon. This can be achieved by engraving details afterwards, but a much simpler and faster method is to incorporate a negative topography into the mold. I chose an oil-based modeling clay for this task. As a modeling reference, I used several bump maps and moon data from NASA. This point in time, don't worry about the color, just the texture. This is a sped up footage. The actual time it took was around 2 hours. I used everything from paintbrushes and skewers to things like needles and wires, depending on what type of detail I wanted. After the completion of the two halves, the fishing lines were threaded through the clay and the two halves were joined. The lines on the bottom were knotted and sealed, but to be sure everything stays in place, they were taped together. For the casting of the moon, I hung the mold above a tray in case any material would drip down. I mixed the epoxy resin according to the instructions and combined 5% concrete, which I previously strained to get rid of the larger particulates, with 95% mixed epoxy by weight, as mentioned earlier. The mixture was added in several small batches and I waited 15 minutes between each pour. The mold was lightly tapped to eliminate some bubbles, although they may add to the texture and the character of the lamp. I filled up the mold all the way to the top. After a day or so, I removed the tape, pulled the two globe halves apart and removed the clay, which revealed a real beauty. It's the moon! However, now is the time to worry about the finish. I removed the leftover clay with a toothbrush, no chance I will use that again. I also used this rotary multi-tool and a sandpaper to remove any rough edges, especially the seam line. While I was at it, I also removed the resin above the screw-on ring to make the before mentioned hole for the light bulb. Here I was extra careful not to drill through and damage the black ring. Later I cleaned up the rough edges with a file. I then covered the surface with a matte lacquer. This is mainly to seal in the smell of the epoxy or polyester and also to cover up any remaining oil patches that the clay left behind, so the paint can stick better later on. I was eager to find out how it looked. Problem was that my light source's color was a bit too warm for my taste. This was easily fixed with a blue marker, MacGyver style. However, there are still things left to do until it's finished. The painting was done with white and black paints mixed in different ratios. The different shades of grey were highly diluted to still let the light out. For the painting, I followed a color map of the moon, which is also known as a picture, which is abundant on the internet. When paint had dried, I hit it with the lacquer again to seal the paint. It was finally finished. I was super happy with the project. I think it looks great when it's turned off, it looks okay when it's turned on. To be honest, there are some things which could be improved for next time. Although some problems did emerge, I still considered the project a success. Not only was the process of making the mold and painting it quite satisfying, the result also looks good. The color looks realistic enough, and the surface detail is a nice addition. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a like, that way YouTube and I will know that you liked it, and if you have any questions about the project or anything else, feel free to leave a comment. Subscribe if you want more of these projects, and I will see you another weekend.